Hi, Christina.
Hi, nice to
Yuli.
see everyone.
Oh my God. Hi, Yuli and now. Beautiful. How are you? Good to see
Yeah, I'm
you.
coming to you guys from Toronto,
Are you? What are you doing there?
interning with a doctor of Chinese medicine. Yeah, it's a
How
lineage
long?
too, 24 generations.
Oh my God. How long is your internship?
I'm here till July 15th.
Mm,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, back in BC. It'll be nice to be back in BC and see everyone too, though.
Yeah, you'll arrive possibly in time for the sun.
Ooh.
Perhaps you'll bring it.
I hope there's sun for sure.
It's quite chilly right now, but let's not worry about that. So, Dakini, wow, it's such a Dakini circle. I really rejoice to see you all. And I wanted to have a class where we really focus on the idea of Shaktis, which we all are, but Shakti, when Shakti takes the seat of Shiva, because I was talking to a friend of mine this week and she was telling me about her formal seated meditation practice and the fact that she was doing more and more of it. And I was feeling this resistance as she was telling me this, because I'm doing less and less of it. And I'm like, nah, don't do that, it sucks. And she's saying, no, I really have been enjoying it. And I asked her to tell me about it. And she told me that it was because she found herself able to sit quietly, and then these um, like piercing gems of realization and insight would come so powerfully that she felt like she needed to get up off her cushion and write it down. And I remember Geshe Michael telling us that if we ever had an insight during meditation, that we should stop the meditation immediately and either get up and start doing it, immediately, just like start doing it, or at the very least to write it down. And she was telling me more about this state of mind that seemed to birth those sorts of flashes. And here's what she said. She said, it's like I'm not expecting anything and I'm not concerned about anything, whatever's in my mind. And I'm not um, trying to be more of this or, less of that or anything, right? You can try and find words for it, but it's like, it's like that thing that I often say when I say, shh, 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 listen, just listen. And you do, like when you do nada yoga and you go into that mind state where you really are, you're just like open because you're waiting for a sound, right? And there's many ways we can talk about how to achieve that mind state because we can do it through all five senses, right? Sound is very easy, actually. So, but how do you do that mentally? You actually don't. That's the answer, okay? You do it through your senses, is how you do it. So, if you're doing it through touch, you're doing it through sound or through looking at a yantra or whatever it is you're doing, you're in that particular state, which is called Shiva state. It's just consciousness. And it's the consciousness that is, it's not pregnant. It's like waiting to be pregnant with Shakti, you know? And it's ready and it's available. That consciousness is ready and available and waiting. And that's where the energy is born, you know, the energy of an insight or a realization or whatever it is. So I thought it was very, very beautiful what she was telling me, and I wanted to explore it a little bit in an asana practice. So when you take your positions, explore inside your own consciousness whether you would like to bring more Shiva consciousness to the particular asana or that instant or that moment, or whether you would like to bring more Shakti, force, you know, more aliveness, you know, more vibrant, alive, hot energy rather than this cool, I've got you kind of energy, you know. And all of the asana practice that I've received as in my lineage transmission has always been super balanced Shiva Shakti. And this is really the beauty of Tantra, right? That it provides that. It provides very strong training in both Shiva and Shakti practice rather than just Shiva, which is the practice of seated formal meditation, right? It's Shiva, developing, cultivating Shiva, which is super important in our world because, hi, beauty, which is so important because our world is kind of crazy. Okay, so come to the back of your mat and we'll do some prostrations. So, you know, even like before you begin to move, you can feel into your system, into your nervous system this morning and see whether your nervous system is having more of Shiva quality or more of Shakti quality. Does it feel chaotic and janky and too much like activation in some way? Or is it more Shiva? Is it very settled and quiet and ready to receive some energy, some more energy? You can just close your eyes with your hands at your heart and provide for your system what it is that your system wants. You know, if it's too Shiva, if it's too cool, you can give it a little heat. And if it's too hot, you can give it a little cool. You can hold it. And as we cultivate this ability to do this in our own bodies and in our own systems with whatever we may find, we then become a conduit. We can transfer that ability. We can do a skill transfer, they call it, right? We can transfer that ability to other people and to other places and situations, and we can really make a difference in our world. So bring your hands up in prayer. And as you flow down, exhale through your mouth powerfully. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, bring your hands all the way up in prayer. And bow. And 1 more time, inhale up. Stay here, lengthen your spine, bring your knees down and slide forward all the way out, straight out, flat out. Bring your hands in prayer. Reach your legs and arms very long. Let's clasp the hands and just extend the pointer fingers. Stay here, stretching out. Lift the legs a little higher, the arms a little higher. Good. Reach along the inner leg lines and out through the base of the big toe. And then draw your hands into your either side of your breast. Press back into child's pose. Curl your toes under and come into a fold. And inhale up. Exhale, sigh. Ah. Lengthen. Exhale, drop to your knees, slide out. Inhale, bring your fingertips to your skull. Elbows out to the sides, legs reach out, reaching out along the inner leg lines again. Ah. One more breath. Good. And then bring your hands to your sides. Reach your sitting bones back through child's pose. Touch your forehead to the ground. And on another exhale, come to standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Once more like that. Inhale up. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to your knees, slide forward. This time, please clasp your hands behind at your sacrum. You can keep the elbows a little bent. Try to get your palms touching. And then again, raise your legs, reach through the inner leg lines. And then if you can extend your arms while you keep your palms connected, do that. Lift a little higher, heart high. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. And exhale, relax. Just stay right there. Stretch your arms out to the sides. Roll over onto your right shoulder. Rest your skull if you're able. You can bend the left leg behind you. Deep breaths. Ah. One more deep breath with a sigh. And then roll back onto your tummy. Stretch your left arm out to the side and roll over onto your left arm. Bend your right leg. Ah. So, asanas like these where there's a bit of intensity, a bit of discomfort even, this is where you can really apply this quality of Shiva to hold the intensity and to cradle. It's like a cradling of the chaos, a cradling of the intensity. And then roll back over. Inhale up to, first of all, Sphinx, please. Sphinx pose. So upper arms are vertical and you're just reaching through the heart, reaching forward through the heart. You can press all 10 toes down or you can keep your toes curled as you like. Keep your hands exactly where they are and straighten your elbows. Just a gentle little cobra. Try to keep your pubic bone pressed down. It's as though you're trying to get your belly button to touch the ground. Stretching the belly like that. Make sure your legs are very, very strong. Kneecaps are floating. And exhale, release, bend your knees. Just keep your knees bent and rest your arms at your sides. And as you keep your knees bent, bring the inner toes together and maybe the inner ankle points also. And if possible, you can clasp your ankles or your toes and do nothing. Just stay there. Rest your forehead or rest on your chin. And try to straighten out completely your front body without doing anything else. Nothing else. So this is another pose where we generate a little bit of the nervous system, we ask the nervous system becomes a little bit frantic and a little bit chaotic, right? With back bends. And so you can just take your time as you get into this and let your Shiva aspect embrace and hold this activation. Keep the inner ankle points together, the inner toe points together. And as you cradle or clasp your ankles or your toes, try to stretch the front body. So it's like you're pushing your knees away from you and you feel your buttocks activate a little. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. That's all, nothing more. Just observing the chaos that you create and holding that chaos with your Shiva essence. It's just holding the chaos, embracing it. There's nothing else to do, just embrace it. And then relax, press yourself up and through to child's pose. Oh, some deep breaths here, sighing as you exhale. And then eventually you can press yourself up to downward facing dog. And take a few long, deep breaths in downward dog, exhaling still through your mouth. Like soothing your nervous system with your sigh. Reaching into the fingertips and the first knuckles, especially of the index finger. Making sure that the first knuckle and second knuckles are sealed down. And that gets your inner elbow points to face in towards one another. This is super important in all arm balance and downward dog. And then please bring the right hand into the middle of the mat, roll over onto the outer edge of your right foot. Take your left foot behind you and extend and open into wild thing. And then come back, rolling onto the outer edge of the right foot, turn around, bring the left hand into the middle of the mat, roll onto the outer edge of your left foot, right foot places behind, press through your hips as you press into either the whole left foot flat, or you can just stay on the outer edge. I like to come flat onto my foot and make sure you're grounded in those finger knuckle points I was just talking about. Holding the chaos of this pose with your Shiva essence. Hold yourself, just embrace yourself, hold yourself here. Just enjoying the activation. And then roll back over, come back to child's pose and rest. A few breaths in child's pose. And then slowly press through your sitting bones back into downward facing dog. Again, setting your fingers, checking your inner elbow points facing each other. Take your weight into your right foot as you unweight the left foot. Everything stays stable, everything stays the same. And then as you raise your left leg and press through the ball of that foot, feel that you're pulling up along the inner leg line, right leg, inner leg line of the right leg. And then bend the left leg open, stack your hips, containing the activation of your energy. Swing back around and then float your left knee and give it a kiss. You're drawing yourself forward, diving forward directly over your wrist. And then inhale the left leg behind you, reaching through the ball of the foot. And again, kiss. And one last time, inhale up. This time, as you exhale and kiss, place your foot and come into Parsvottanasana, pulling strongly up the inner leg line, left leg and right, actually outer right leg and inner left leg. Bow. You can come onto your fists if you like and do some pigeon dances, dropping onto the outer edge of the left foot and then pressing back to pigeon or to pyramid. And again, dropping into pigeon, not all the way down, of course, and then pressing back, maybe 2-3 more times. And then seal the outer edge of your right foot as you bend into the left knee. And bring the left arm forward. And let's do humble warrior. So you can just rest your hands on your sacrum. You can clasp your hands behind. So you're sealing the outer right foot down, making sure that the right femur is turning out as you bow to your left foot, reaching the arms up and away. And then place your hands again, pull into Parsvottanasana, pyramid. And then you can give your left knee a kiss as you send that leg back to downward facing dog. So you got to dive, kiss, and press into downward dog. Take a vinyasa here. Upward dog or cobra. Maybe if you like, you can add couple of twisting cobras, one each way, and then press back downward dog. As you're ready, the right leg. So shift your weight into the left foot. Let the right foot float up, very conscious as you press. Begin to straighten the right leg and press through the ball of the foot. Reaching through the ball of the foot, pulling the energy up the inner left leg. And then bend your right leg, come into this doggy hydrant thing. Make sure you apply Ashwini Mudra, contracting the anal sphincters a little. And then swing back around, dive forward and kiss your knee. 2 more times. And after the third kiss, you'll place your foot and come into pigeon dances. First, pull into Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. And then you can dive, outer edge of the right foot and pull back. And 3, 4, 5 times as you like. And then press into the outer edge of the left foot. Bring your arms behind you and just rest them on your sacrum or clasp, whichever you prefer. Reaching the arms out as you bow your head in towards the inner right foot. Make sure you've sealed the outer edge of the left foot and that the left femur is turning outward, externally rotating. And then come back up, touch down, pull into Parsvottanasana. Give your right knee a kiss as you send the right leg back, downward facing dog. And then please come through a vinyasa. Nice. Good. And we'll all meet back in downward dog. Oh. All right. And again, inhale. Shift weight to the right foot. The left leg comes up. One kiss and then step through. Press into all 5 toes of the right foot. Let the right kneecap float if you're able. So you really have to apply Ashwini Mudra here. If you float your right kneecap, lifting your arms up into prayer, drawing the right hip forward, very strong Shiva force containing this energy, this high activation. And then curl your toes under, pull into Parsvottanasana again. Pigeon dances. This time take the left foot out to the left. Just 3. And then you can let the left shin bone be vertical as you perhaps lower yourself down to your elbows, or you could stay on your hands. And those of you who would like to do this can bend the right leg, reach behind with the left arm and grasp your right ankle. So really opening the heart, Ashwini Mudra, really contain the chaos of this pose. This is like a super chaotic kind of a pose. High energy, high activation, high heat. And you need to bring a lot of Shiva essence to hold this rage. It's almost like a rage pose. And you can turn it into a bliss pose by applying Shiva essence and holding the energy. And then slowly come back out, press yourself up onto your hands, let the left foot move across to the right side of your mat. And now you're just going to drop into the right front of the right leg, still not coming into pigeon. Just see if you can touch the front of the right thigh down a few times, still in like a little pigeon dance. And then walk the left foot into the middle of the mat, pull into Parsvottanasana pyramid, give the left knee, you can come into a vinyasa here. I think that would be good. So give the left knee a kiss as you push back. And come into a vinyasa, resetting your spine, resetting your hips. And then press back. We'll all meet in downward dog for a few breaths, or if you prefer, you can rest in child's pose. Make that determination based on the condition of your nervous system. Couple more breaths. And shift your weight into the left foot. Inhaling the right leg up, reaching through the ball of the foot. And then give the right knee a kiss as you place your right foot between your hands. Lowering the left thigh down, pressing into all 5 toes, and then lifting the kneecap up as you lift up into low, deep lunge. Very strong activation, but very strong Shiva. So you really have to balance these kinds of poses. Because too much Shakti force ruptures the ligaments and the soft tissues of the body. Okay, so you can rest that leg down and then curl your left toes, walk the right foot to the outside of your mat, and see if you could keep your right shin bone vertical as you lower to your hands or your elbows, your forearms. And then you can perhaps bend your left knee and reach behind with the right hand and grasp your left ankle. Really staying very, very contained. Make sure that you're containing your energy. You know, you're not out of control. You've got Ashwini Mudra engaged. You're reaching through the heart. You're allowing the prana to stay flowing, you know? You're not so tight. You're not in such a sort of a stress, high Shakti condition that you can't breathe and sigh. And then come back around. Walk the right foot across to the left. And then make sure that you're holding your weight with your hands or your fists somehow and lower onto the front of the left thigh. Just doing a few tiny little dances. Make sure your right ankle stays in Tadasana, fully flexed position. And then walk the right foot into the middle, pull into pyramid, strong, reset. And these resetting poses are very Shiva-esque, you know, they can recontain the energy, you know. And then take your right leg back to downward facing dog. And take a few breaths there or in child's pose as you like. And just breathe. Very, very conscious of the condition of your nervous system. Very, very conscious of your ability to hold your own activation and to soothe your own activation, to embrace it and hold it and really, really nourish. It's a nourishing, nurturing quality of your own Shakti, possibly chaotic Shakti essence. Beautiful. And then press back up to downward facing dog. Walk your feet into the middle of the mat and drop into a deep squat. Take your left arm out, holding the legs open with the left elbow, and then inhale the right arm up, twisting up to the right, dropping deeply into the earth, dropping deeply into the earth energy from your yoni, and then drawing the energy of the earth back up into the yoni, feeling that heat, that warmth of the earth energy coming up into your yoni, holding that, which Shiva holds that. Shiva is very, very adept at holding that energy, that sexual, sensual earth Gaia force. And then bring the right arm to the inside of the right leg, same thing, twisting to the left, letting yourself drop through the pelvic floor even a little more. Good, beautiful. And then bring your hands into prayer, letting yourself drop even more directly through the pelvic floor into the earth force. And then please press your elbows out against the inner legs and come into a standing forward fold with the feet apart like that. And just let yourself go. Let yourself go and let the crown of the head be seriously attracted to the ground. So, you know, Eva and Lada and I went to a beautiful ecstatic dance through the week, and they had a lot of contact improv, which I hadn't done since I think it was the first year of Tantra at DM when we had to do that stuff. And it's about allowing the energy that is in you to express itself fully in a container of absolute trust. So it's where you drop into a standing back bend and you know that somebody's going to catch you or something like that, you know, you just trust, you just offer, you just let it go into that standing back bend or something like that. It's, if you've never seen it, it's very beautiful to watch and very beautiful to do. So let yourself roll up like a rag doll. And then turn to face the long side of your mat and come into Durga Asana, Kali Asana. So see if you can come into Kali Asana so that your shin bones are vertical. And keep the kneecaps centered over the second toe. So this is super important, right? Keep the kneecaps centered over the second toe. Maybe, maybe you have to roll both your thighs open for that to happen. Go ahead and do that. Use your hands, use your elbows, use whatever you need to make sure that the kneecaps are centered over the second toe. Yeah, beautiful. And then drop as deep as you can here. Make sure your shin bones are a bit more vertical, Deborah. So see if you could walk your feet apart a little bit. That would be better. Good. Yeah. And then so breathe here, sighing. Surrendering into this particular form of chaos. Deep breath in. Exhale, sigh, holding yourself strong, using your hands, using your breath, using your consciousness. 1 or 2 more breaths here. Soothing yourself with the exhaled sigh. And then straighten both your legs. Turn the left foot in, keeping the right foot turned out. Maybe you need to walk the left foot away from you a little bit as you drop into Warrior Two, but you're still facing the side of your mat and your torso is completely vertical. And nothing really changes from the way your body looked in the Durga Asana. You're pressing, sealing the outer edge of the left foot, making sure the left femur is externally rotating to allow that to happen. And then reach your arms vertically up and let them just float to the sides. You're still looking at the long side of your mat. And now just turn your head and gaze out over your right hand. So a little bit of Ashwini Mudra here, keeping the tailbone facing downward, pointing downward. And just resting in the chaos of the pose, knowing that your own essence can hold you. And then straighten both legs, reverse triangle. Both legs are straight, torso facing to the side, long side of the mat. It's completely different from Nidhi Sky Archer. Maybe you'll reach your left hand down to the outer calf, left outer calf. Side bending, letting the arm reach way overhead. And then exhale, reach the right arm way forward as you begin to bend into the right leg again. Resting your right elbow momentarily on your right thigh. And then maybe you'll clasp your ankle, right ankle with your right hand. Maybe you'll stay here. Maybe you'll stay with the elbow on the thigh. Maybe you'll take a full bind, reaching underneath your leg with your right arm. If you're going to take a bind, make sure you don't lose that quality of being fully side facing, like to the long side of your mat, I mean. And then you can open the heart a little here, wherever you are. And then wherever you are, just touch gently down and extend both legs into triangle, bringing the left arm up, open the heart, Ashwini Mudra, breathe. Your breath is your containment, right? The breath is the, Ujjayi breath is the Shiva that holds the chaos in this kind of asana. And then from triangle, bring your left hand forward, put it down, both your hands, turn the right foot in. Now you're in Upavishta Konasana or Prasarita Padasana. I think it's Prasarita Padasana. And then draw deeply into the hip creases, drawing the prana up the outer legs, the inner legs into the hip creases. Toes are facing the long side of your mat. Come to rest on your elbows or the tip of your head. You can walk your arms out behind you through your legs. If you have a headstand practice, you can do that now. Otherwise, please, everybody, come to rest on the tip of your head. You can keep your hands there. Keep your hands reaching through between your legs. Maybe palms down is kind of nice. So we're all resting on the tip of our heads, if possible. And if you're in headstand, you can come down slowly. Reposition your hands in front of you. Inhale, lengthen your spine, lengthen the crown of your head towards forward. And then heel toe your feet a little bit closer so that you can curl yourself up to standing and then back into Durga Asana. So same thing again, coming back into Kali or Durga Asana, making sure that your kneecaps are angled out over the second toe. Coming as deep as you can into gravitational force, holding yourself with your stillness, holding yourself with your own love. One more breath. And then straighten both your legs. Good. And bend turn the right foot out. Keep the left foot where it is. I walk my right foot away from me a little. I need a bit more distance here to drop into my left hip crease. Make sure that your back is still like it was in Durga Asana, you know? And then you can reach your arm up. Check that the left kneecap is angled out over the second toe. Check that the right kneecap is angled out over the second toe, sealing the outer edge of the right foot down. Reach both your arms up, let them float to the sides. Just turn your head softly and look out over your left fingertips. Feeling into the extraordinary quality of this pose. It's quite chaotic. For me anyway. Warrior, but wow, Shiva Shakti balance. Bring whatever you need to hold your own chaos, whatever Shiva quality you need. And then please exhale, straighten both legs. Inhale the right arm up and back, reverse, reaching down along the outer right calf, keeping the Ashwini Mudra applied. And then exhale forward into extended side angle, resting your left elbow initially. And maybe you'll reach down and clasp your left ankle and stay here. Or maybe you'll take a full bind, reaching underneath the left leg. Make sure if you take a bind that you can fully open to the side. Your heart can curl around. Make sure that the Shiva can hold your Shakti force here. Otherwise, release the post back to where you feel held by your own strong, calm essence. Exhale, drop the left hand, straighten both legs, triangle. Make sure you always feel held by your own Shiva love. And then one more time, turn the left foot the left foot to the long side of your mat and come into this bow. This time you can let the heels be a little bit further apart and reach for your ankles with your two hands if you like. You could rest your forehead if you like. You can just rest on your fingertips anywhere. And you can take another headstand if you like. If you're not going to take a headstand, reach your arms through your legs, palms down. First bring yourself onto the crown of your head and then reach your arms through, palms down. And that way you can sort of leverage yourself into, balancing on your head a little bit, as long as your palms are down and you've grounded yourself in that way. Good. Bring your hands back out. Roll yourself up. Turn your right foot out. Walk the left foot away from you a little bit. And then come into I forget what this is called, but this thing here. So a side lunge pose. You can bring yourself all the way down. So just the right knee is bent. The right knee is bent. The left leg is straight out to the side. Good. And then let's just switch that up quickly here. So stretch the right leg out, bend the left knee in. Awesome. And then bring the right foot, both feet, outer edges of the short end of your short side. So you're coming back into a deep squat. And then you can press yourself up to standing, forward fold, dangling your head again, rotating your head a little bit. Oh, lots of deep sighs. In both directions. And then ragdoll up. And you can now come to either the floor or stay on your mat. We're going to do some standing balance. So wherever you feel that this is easier for you to contain the chaos of standing balances. Shift your weight into your left foot. And as you unweight the right leg, lift the leg as high as you need to so that you can catch your shin without changing the position of your torso. So keep reaching up through the crown of the head, keep lengthening through the left leg. More and more and more and more. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. Drawing the shin in towards you. And then rest your right ankle on your left thigh. Utkatasana, one-legged chair pose, reaching into both sitting bones evenly. The heart stays reaching forward as much as possible. Reach the heart forward, reach the heart forward. That's it, good. So your ankle, right ankle is resting on your left thigh. And then you can touch your hands down if you like and see if you could come a little deeper, reaching your torso and your heart forward. And maybe you'll come into a little tuck with the right foot binding onto the upper left arm. The right upper arm is bound up against the shin bone, just beneath the kneecap. If you dive your hands forward, you might like to come into a little hand balance. Make sure that Shiva can contain this for you. And if you came into hand balance, come back and everybody straighten your left leg, staying here in this one-legged forward fold. And then please come into Utkatasana, both feet are on the ground. Relax, just surrender. Oh. You can shimmy and shake a little and gently let the head roll around. Oh. Good. And then once again, come all the way up and shift your weight into the right foot. Take earth, ground yourself into earth force through your right leg. Catch your left shin. Don't let your torso change position. And keep drawing the left shin in towards you by drawing force up the right leg, keeping the right leg really, really grounded, plugged into the earth, pulling energy from her. Keep drawing the left thigh into your heart without changing the position of your torso by straightening the right leg more and more and more, pressing into the ball of the foot. And then finally, cross the left ankle over the right thigh, like a modified tree pose. Hold there. Drop into your two hip creases evenly. One-legged chair pose, reaching the heart forward, heart forward, heart forward. And then maybe eventually you'll come into the bind and prepare for hand balance, or not. Just stay where you are if you prefer. Eventually we all meet with the right leg straight, the left leg bent, holding here. And then unbind your left foot, put it on the ground. Let's ragdoll up and put the fingertips on the shoulders. Inhale as you twist to the left, exhale as you twist to the right. And keep going like that. Twisting side to side. Good. And slowly let the twisting come to stillness. Bring your hands into your heart, standing in Tadasana. Close your eyes. Check into your prana body. Feeling how much chaotic, frenetic Shakti energy you have. And how do you contain that? How are you containing that? You could use your breath. You could exhale sighs, soothing the hurricane force of the Shakti energy. Okay, so once again, Kali Asana, actually not, just bending into the left leg and dropping into this. So both toes are facing the long side of your mat when you drop into this particular asana here. And you can bring your seat all the way down. And this time we're going to bend the left knee. Keep the right leg stretched way out to the side like that. And bring the sole of the left foot into the right groin. And press the sole of your left foot against the right inner thigh. Rest your right elbow against your right thigh. Inhale the left arm up and side bend to your right. You can also bring the right elbow to the ground in front of your right leg, wherever you like. If you can do a full bind onto your toes, go ahead. Make sure that you don't compromise the integrity of your left side body, which is rounded. It's a side bend. Nourishing and nurturing yourself with breath, with sighs, with a very deep love. Inhale up, turn to face your right leg, put fingertips on either side of your right leg, and then reach your left hand to the outside of your right foot and draw yourself into a forward fold. So only your left arm is making contact with your right foot, or left, or the outside of the calf, or the outside of the right thigh, but just the left arm wrapping around. Good. Deep breaths, deep sighs. One more breath. And then please inhale up and stretch your left leg out and right leg in. So now the right foot is sealed against the inner left thigh. Left leg stretched way out to the side. Bend your left elbow, put it wherever you had it before. Inhale the right arm up. And side bend, making a beautiful arc with your right side body, pressing through, especially from the heart space. Keeping your heart opening all the time. As you side bend and breathe and sigh. One more deep breath. And then please inhale the right arm up. Twist to face your left leg. Take a few breaths here to get the right arm wrapped around to the outer left leg, thigh, calf, foot, toe, whatever. Drawing deeply into the left hip crease as you wrap yourself around and fold over your left leg. Good. Beautiful. And then inhale up. And please exhale your legs in front of you. Paschimottanasana. And let's inhale up. Dandasana. Reach up, sitting bones ground. And then as you exhale, the arms reach forward, the chin tucks. Breathing strongly, exhaling through pursed lips as you slowly lower down, all the way down. Pressing into the low back as you lower all the way down. And then when your low back and your mid back touch the ground, inhale the arms overhead, arching the low back a little bit. Exhale, sit back up. Paschimottanasana position. Inhale the arms straight up, Dandasana. Exhale, reach them all the way forward. Stay here for a few breaths. Paschimottanasana. Walking the two sitting bones back behind you a bit, giving yourself more length in the backs of the legs. The breath always can succeed in containing extreme hurricane force, Shakti energy in your own nervous system. This is step number one. There's no sense in delaying putting on the oxygen mask, like put it on, What are we waiting for? Like, put the damn thing on so that you can help the people next to you. Inhale up, Dandasana. Exhale, tuck the chin, start to lower again. Inhaling through the mouth, exhaling through like a straw. Maybe 10 breaths to get down. And then once again, inhale, arms reach behind, low back arches. Exhale, sit up. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, Paschimottanasana one more time. Nice. Two more deep breaths. Exhale, sighs. And then inhale up. And please take your left leg, bend your left leg, and bring it behind you. Right leg is facing straight ahead, left leg is bent behind you. Make sure the left ankle is in absolute Tadasana. And you're pressing into the inner edge of the left foot more than into the left inner knee. Let me say it again. You're pressing into the inner edge of the left foot more than you're trying to press the inner left knee down. Feel the difference? Okay, good. And then this is a modified Janu Shirshasana. Now fold over your right leg. And please inhale up, and please bend your right leg so that your right ankle is in a very strict Tadasana position. Listen carefully. You're going to start walking your hands ahead of you into this twist. And if you can, you'll feed your baby. Your two nipples will come down onto the lower leg if possible, or hold yourself in that position, resting on your elbows. And if you can bring yourself all the way down, that's very nice. Letting yourself come all the way down. Modified pigeon. And then inhale, come up. Okay, once again, listen carefully. Take a little quarter turn to your right and begin to walk your hands out ahead of you to the right. You might need to adjust your left leg a little bit. Maybe you can bring yourself onto your elbows initially. Keep letting the left side of the rib cage wrap around and come down. Maybe eventually you can let the torso rest all the way down. It's a very deep twist. So the more you can bring the left side of the rib cage around and down, the deeper your twist will be, but also making sure that you're moving the heart forward. You know, the heart keeps wanting to reach forward, 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 forward. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And please surrender as much as you can. Surrender your body weight. Just let go. Sigh and let go. Beautiful. Good. And slowly draw your elbows in towards your rib cage and press yourself up. Come up, face back to the front. Bring your left leg forward into box pose, wrapping it over the top of the right inner thigh as much as you can. Both your feet, both your ankles are in Tadasana, strong flexed position. And you can just sit up absolutely tall, or you can bow a little bit into the hip creases, getting deep into the hip creases as you like. So now, having generated all this massive typhoon winds, all this Shakti force, we do twists and binds and things like that to contain the energy and to allow the energy to nourish and to heal us through this binding actions. And when you do the binding action, come into full stillness and feel how you contain your own energy with complete love. And please inhale up, exhale, straighten both your legs ahead of you. And then bend the right knee behind. So remember, same thing, coming into the outer edge of the right ankle, maybe the ankle bone, rather than pressing the knee into the ground. And then you'll come forward in this modified Janu Shasana. Inhale, come up, and then bend your left knee like pigeon. Preferably the angle of the knee will be 90 degrees or as close as possible to 90 degrees. And then reaching forward, walking forward, so that it's as though you're feeding the baby here, nursing the baby. Deep breaths with deep sighs. Good. One more deep breath, deep sigh. And then inhale yourself up. And then do that little quarter turn to the left. And begin to walk your arms forward, resting on your elbows initially. Make adjustments with the right leg. Try to keep the left leg where it is, but make adjustments with your right leg so that you can keep moving yourself forward and wrap the right side of your rib cage down. It wants to touch down. Sigh. Look for the bliss in this pose. There's definitely some bliss to be had in this kind of a very, very deep twist. Breathe your way into it. Exhale, sigh your way into it. And then turn back forward. Bring the right leg up and over into box pose. Agni Stambhasana, double pigeon or box or fire log pose, or so many names. And you can either sit straight up or you can deepen into the hip creases a little if you like, reaching the heart forward. Deep breaths in, exhaled sighs. And keep surrendering deeper into the hip creases, deeper into the sitting bones. And please inhale, come up, exhale, straighten your legs. And then one last time, lift your feet up, make like a boat. Deep breath in, Kapalabatis, anything up to 108 as you lower yourself down into Shavasana. And when you're done, just let yourself collapse into Shavasana. Take a few deep breaths here, inhaling and exhaling sighs. Just rest. Feel the force of that chaotic breath sequence. Just feeling it in your body. And then as you're ready, bend your knees, bring your heels in towards your sitting bones. And prepare for bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. You can come in by rocking and rolling in a tuck, or you can come in by lifting yourself up into a back bend. Oh, sorry, we're coming into, I'm sorry, we're coming into Viparita Karani. So you can come in either one of those two ways. And eventually we'll all meet in Viparita Karani with our legs vertical. Don't move your head. Strongly rooted in the back of the skull. Hips are resting in the hands. Breathing deeply. Exhaling with a little sigh. Anything up to 10 more breaths. can come down anytime you like. And once you come down, please take a Setu Bandhasana, another bridge pose, or alternatively, you can take a Urdhva Dhanurasana, a full wheel back bend, one of those two. You can begin to slowly come down from your bridge or your wheel if you're still there. Making your way slowly down, not compromising the integrity of your spine as you lower yourself down. And when you're down, just rest in Shavasana, making sure that you have everything you need now as we transition into Shavasana. Make sure you're warm and comfortable. Yes, get very cozy now. And once you've settled yourself into position, with your eyes closed, observe your internal landscape, the quality of your prana right now. Feeling into every part of your body for the flavor of your prana. And even associate it with an emotional state. Do you feel sad? Do you feel joyful? Do you feel anger? Do you feel bliss? How do you feel? And however it is that you feel, let this Shavasana position hold and kind of honor whatever it is that you feel. Sort of giving full freedom, full reign to your prana quality, to your emotional quality right now. Full license. Give it full license. Full freedom in your body, in your emotional body, in your prana body. It has every right to be there, whatever it is. Every right. And then bring your consciousness into your physical body and make fists and contract your ankles. And then take a deep breath in and hold your breath and contract every part of your body, your buttocks, your chest, your arms, your legs, your belly, everything. And then with a strong exhaled sigh, let everything go. Let everything release. And please do that a couple more times with as much strength as you can when you do the contracting part on the in-breath. And then you could just let all of your weight surrender. Let your body weight surrender completely into gravitational force, letting the earth hold you, holding nothing back. Nothing back. Let your whole skull go. Your whole skull. Just let it go. Let your whole shoulder girdle go. Consciously let your whole shoulder girdle release. And then your whole pelvic girdle, your whole rib cage, the whole rib cage, first of all. And then the whole pelvic girdle, just let it go, completely let it go. Now your two arms, let your two arms completely relax. And your two legs, let your two legs completely relax. Your whole body is so heavy and completely relaxed. And in this space of deep, deep relaxation, plant the seed of your sankalpa, repeating it to yourself 3 times. What do you want to achieve through your spiritual practice, your asana practice?
Now imagine that it is so. Imagine that it is so as you're lying there in Shavasana. You are living the full reality of your sankalpa. And so just relax into it completely. Now, please look out at this external world where your sankalpa is manifest. What do you see? What do you see there in that manifested sankalpa world? And what do you hear? What does it smell like there? And what does it taste like? And what can you feel? What can you touch? So once again, repeat your sankalpa to yourself 3 times, slowly and with very, very deep conviction. And begin to slowly draw yourself back into the hardness of the surface that is holding you, feeling the hardness of the surface. Feeling yourself cradled by the air that surrounds you and cradled by the hardness that supports you. Feeling yourself treasured and cherished by the ground that holds you and adored by the air that embraces you in every moment. And begin to make small movements to greet this adoring air, moving yourself so that your back body too can receive the adoration of the air around you as it fully embraces your body and touches your body. Feeling a deep sense of gratitude for this body that can be adored, this body that receives this nourishing adoration of the air, the nurturing, grounded support of the earth. And slowly moving your body into a tall seat to fully feel these two beautiful, adoring entities always with us. And then empty your bladder. This is a moment to empty your bladder if you need to. But please don't take in any water right now. And then when you are ready to take your seat, come close to your screen. And so we're going to do pinning again because we're going to do Shiva and Shakti practice again, a little differently. Excuse me. So Eva and Tanya, you could pin each other. And Sadira and Deborah, you can pin each other. And how about Lada and Yulia can pin each other? And Now and I, is that right? Is just let's check to make sure that Tanya is coming. Turi, are you coming back? She says no. Okay, so then that means it'll be Lada and Now. Lada and Now will pin each other. So when you see your partner, point to your left eye and ask your partner to gaze into your left eye. And once you are connected with your partner in this way, we'll begin, as we did last week, with breathing in through a straw. Well, we didn't do that, but we're going to do it this time. So breathing in through a straw, exhaling with a sigh. As you gaze softly into your partner's left eye. Feeling very joyful to have this beautiful partner to work with. Let's first connect at the heart with our partner. So your right hand is going to emit. Your right hand is giving breath into your partner's heart, and your left hand is receiving from your partner's heart energy. So you can go like this. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. To indicate to your partner which phase of breath you're on. So you have to be opposite with your partner, yes? So when you're inhaling, they're exhaling. When you're exhaling, they're inhaling. Stay very soft with your gaze and very soft with your breath. Drawing their energy into your heart, offering your heart love energy back into their heart. Soft inhales and soft exhales. And then drop your left hand to your navel Now you're offering fire energy, heat energy into your partner's Manipura chakra, inhaling as you receive their their heat energy, their fire, their aliveness, their life force from their belly into yours. Just make sure they can still see your hands so that they know which phase of breath you're on. Inhaling as you draw their heat into your belly. Exhaling as you offer your heat into their Manipura chakra. Continuing like that, keeping a soft gaze with their left eye. You can do this with an imaginary partner, you know that, right? So if your partner has taken a break here, just work with an imaginary partner. If you have your partner looking at you in the screen, then come forward a little bit so they can really see you. Inhaling their heat into your Manipura, exhaling your heat into theirs. See if you can really build some heat from receiving their heat and from giving yours. Really build some heat. You can feel it transferring through the ether easily, no problem. And then slowly drop to the Manipura, to the Svadhisthana chakra. So your fingertips will press into the ridge of the pubic bone, and offer very fluid water energy, very sensuous energy, offering this very sensuous energy into your partner's Svadhisthana chakra as you exhale. Inhaling directly into the place where your fingers are pressing into the ridge of the pubic bone, right where the kshetram of the Svadhisthana chakra is. But when you receive their energy, pull it all the way back into the actual Svadhisthana chakra. Exhale. Drawing it into your Svadhisthana chakra, feeling the fluidity of it, the sensuous flow of it. Exhaling into their Svadhisthana chakra, continuing, keeping your gaze connected. Good. Very mindful of them and their energy, offering gently and softly or more powerfully if you feel that that's what your partner needs right now. You can intensify the breath a little bit here, sucking the air in as though through a straw, exhaling with a deeper, stronger sigh. Directly into their Svadhisthana, receiving directly into your Svadhisthana. And then please sit on your left hand so that your whole palm is making contact with your perineum as you receive your partner's in-breath and exhale your strong, grounded Muladhara energy into their Muladhara chakra. Strong out breath, offering your strongly grounded earth energy directly into your partner's Muladhara chakra and receiving their strong, grounded presence directly into your Muladhara. Giving them exactly the right amount of force, exactly the right amount of breath. And now very slowly transition into Shiva Shakti breath. So when you're offering your partner your breath through your heart. And when you're receiving your partner's in-breath through the Muladhara and drawing it all the way up to the heart, and then exhaling it through your heart into their heart, taking that breath all the way down, drawing it in through their Muladhara into your Muladhara, exhaling it from your heart into their heart, receiving from their Muladhara into your Muladhara, exhaling from your heart into their heart, receiving from their Muladhara into your Muladhara and up to your heart so that you can exhale and offer it directly into their heart, receiving into Muladhara all the way up to your heart, exhaling, offering this circular energy in through your Muladhara all the way up Sushumna and then out through your heart into their heart. Please continue with as much power, as much pranic force as you think your partner needs from you right now. Staying connected, please, with their left eye. Staying connected through your eyes. Don't lose yourself. Stay connected with your partner. Feeling their energy coming in through the Muladhara and moving up to your heart. Such a forceful energy that it makes it all the way up to your heart so you can offer it back out through your heart into their heart. Beautiful. Stay connected with your partner. Stay connected with your partner. Always stay connected with your partner. Moving through any body sensations, any kind of discomfort or powerful sensation that you might be having, taking in from their Muladhara, offering out through your heart. Please stay connected to your partner, breathing through your own experience, staying with your partner, making your offering to your partner, receiving the offering of your partner. Breathing through your resistance, breathing through your yawns, breathing through any discomfort, receiving their offering, making your offering, receiving their offering, making your offering. Starting to slow the breath a little. Moving through your resistance just for a couple more minutes. Making your offering, receiving your offering, shifting into breathing in and out through your nose now. You can still make a sigh even with your mouth closed. And just now moving with no movement at all. Just letting your hands rest, staying connected with your partner through your eyes. Breathing in their offering, exhaling your offering. Mm. 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 And now you can relax the breath so much that you shift into the body breathing you, the breath breathing your body, the breath leaving your body, your partner's breath breathing your body, your partner's breath leaving your body, your partner's breath breathing your body, your breath leaving your body, your partner's breath breathing your body. You can close your eyes now. All movement stops. You're completely still. You're just receiving the breath of your partner. You're giving your breath, and you experience it as being breathed by their breath. And your breath leaves your body into your partner's body. Very still, very relaxed. And allow this practice now to come to a pause, and then feel into your own body with a very, very high sensitivity for your prana condition right now. Holding yourself in your own prana condition, whatever that might be, with your love. And on a big breath in, draw from the earth into your Muladhara, drawing that breath all the way up past Svadhisthana chakra, Manipura chakra, Anahata chakra, Vishuddhi chakra, all the way up to Ajna and out through your crown. 2 more like that. Breathing in and offering through your crown, offering this purified prana all the way up, bathing your universe with your blessings and your grace. In through your Muladhara up to the crown and then out. And then you can open your eyes and bring your prayer hands to your heart. And you're still pinned, so thank your partner. Thank you so much for offering me your prana, your body, your breath, your presence, your love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And make an offering into your world. Thank you, everyone, for your beautiful practice today. So we're going to have a little 5-minute pause, and if you are in a Path to Bliss class and you're going to receive tantric initiation, then you have to come. If you're not going for a tantric initiation, you don't have to come, but you can just drop in just for this Path to Bliss course 3. And after that, the tantra classes are not open anymore. They become closed classes, but you're certainly welcome to join today if you like. So I'm going to put us on pause for 5 minutes, and everybody is responsible for reminding me to start the record button, okay? Everybody. Okay, so have a nice cup of tea and see you in 5 minutes. Thank you, Lana. So this first method of cultivating bodhicitta, cultivating the wish, there's a couple of methods. The first method, the way to cultivate the wish to become enlightened for the sake of every living being, is to think that every single being has been your mother. And we're going to meditate on that just for a few minutes. But what I'd like you to do is to imagine that every single person in this class today has been your mother, and that when they were your mother, they did exactly the same thing for you that your mother in this life has done and is doing for you. Okay? 5 minutes contemplating on how every single person in this room has been your mother. Okay, you can slowly open your eyes and come back to class. So when I was listening to the recording for this class from Geshe Michael, he went into a very, very long reflection about how traumatic it is to, this was his experience of tantric view, to go from seeing things as normal, you know, completely ordinary, right? People are doing things to me. The world is, you know, the world is fucked up. There's nothing I can do about it. And people are just a complete mess. And so to go from that view to seeing the world and everybody and everything in it as divine, as very, very special, no matter what it is you see, is very traumatic and confusing. It's very, very traumatic. And he went into this long reflection about staying hope, you know, keeping hope, not to get discouraged. Like for a really long time, he talked about it. And he said that his Lama, Ken Rinpoche, said, just let it come. Let it come. Don't try so hard, you know, to see this one and that one and the war and the whatever as divine, you know, you can't force that view, you know, right? I mean, we all know that. And the reason for that is that karma is not consistent. See, you're not like on an IV drip feed of, of karmic ripening for tantric view. You know what I mean? If we were on an IV drip feed of tantric divine view, you know, metering out, measuring out like the perfect little amounts, you know, so that it didn't feel too traumatic and confusing, and we could just like, oh, you know, gradually, little by little, in this super comfortable way, you know, you could come into this nice tantric view. It's obviously not like that, right? You have it and then you just don't. And then you have it a little bit and then you just don't. And then one day you wake up and you have it so much that you think, oh my God, whoa, you know, and then it's gone, right? Do you know why?
Because the karma runs out.
Yeah. Because of the pen, right? It's because the karma is inconsistent. It's not that it runs out. It doesn't run out. It's inconsistent. And, you know, we've we've stepped off the diving board, but we haven't hit the pool yet, you know? And then, you know, Chogyam Trungpa would say, oh my God, you know, the bad news is that now you're hurtling through space. You're just like falling through space. And then he would say, well, the good news is that there actually isn't any ground. And so that's very much what it's like, right? Geshe Michael said, everything you want will come if you stop fighting it. Wow, that's an interesting thing to say, don't you think? See why I think that he's now manifesting as Carolyn Elliott? Everything you want will come, so stop fighting it. What that says to me is that all this shit that we have going on, we wanted it and it came. And the best thing to do is just to stop fighting it. That's what that says to me. That's what, those are his words verbatim. I'll say it again. Everything you have wanted will come, so stop fighting it. Sounds kind of kinky, right? And then he said, everything works out in the end. All your instincts are correct. And in general, just take joy. He didn't say feel joy. Geshe Michael doesn't say things accidentally. If you know him, if you know my Lama, everything he says is intentional, you know. He doesn't use one word instead of another just because he, whatever. It's not like that with him. Everything you've wanted will come, so stop fighting it. Everything works out in the end. All your instincts are correct. And in general, just take joy. Take joy and expect it to screw up once in a while. This is wisdom. I mean, it's just magnificent, you know, the wisdom in those words, those few words is just almost inconceivable to me, actually. I had to listen to that part over and over because I have a deep understanding of how traumatic tantric view is, you know. I myself get it. I totally get it. How difficult it is to see people, places, and things as divine all the time. Yeah. Take joy. It's proactive, right? Take joy. In other words, be responsible, you know. Take joy. Okay, well, let's see. Class 3, my goodness. So then the other thing that was going on in that term at Diamond Mountain is that the temple was being built. There was actually no temple. And the temple was being built. And then he started to really push for the temple to be complete for the following term, which was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months away, because then the next thing that happened was initiation, right? And the temple had to be ready for initiation. So he really was pushing for that, you know? And I just mentioned that because it's always true. You know, whether or not we are physically needing to build a location for initiation, you know, metaphorically and figuratively, we need to build a temple for initiation, actually. You see, however you look at it, you know, we may not need to go brick on brick like we did at DM, but we need to build a temple for initiation. How do you need to build a temple for your initiation? How do we need to build a temple for the initiation? These are all starting to become very, very, very crucial questions, yeah? So that's what he said next. Okay, so on to the class. You know, I don't know, Lada probably remembers this. So Geshe Michael then went into another big thing where it was on the topic of equanimity. You know, the first method for developing the wish for enlightenment, all beings are your mother, right? And then there's 7 steps. But before any of that, you know, you have to reach equanimity. If you remember, it's not even one of the steps. It's like the foundational force, you know, it's like the soil. The soil is equanimity. That's the soil, right? You can do nothing until you have that, until you can think of people equally. And this has been very, very difficult for me. It's always very difficult for me, you know. It's always very difficult for me. And I search out situations where I'm really forced into a situation where I'm thinking of all beings as being equal, you know. And I force myself into some very interesting situations so that I can test my own ability to see all beings as equal, you know. And it's very fruitful to do that. It's very fruitful to have an understanding of where you cannot see others as being equal to you. And it's even hidden and insidious. This is shadow, you know, this is serious shadow, right? The biggest shadow for me is my own belief that I'm absolutely superior, you know, that I don't need to worry about certain groups of people or certain people who are in certain situations because whatever, some reason or other. So Geshe Michael gives all these different examples of bias. Do you remember, Lada? That was just an astonishing teaching, right? And how he gave the teaching was he used his Lama, Ken Rinpoche, as an example of a human entity, well, apparently human entity, an apparently human being who had no biases. He did not have any biases. And then he goes on to discuss all these different really amazing and interesting biases that I certainly have. And if you do, then you are not able to see all beings as equal, right? So Geshe Michael came up with 27 different ways that we're not able to see others as equal to ourselves. And the first was age bias, okay? Age bias. So you know how I'm always moaning about how I'm so old and, you know, men are always bypassing me and dismissing me, blah, 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 right? So you probably know this about me, or maybe you don't, but I am very biased to younger men. Like very biased, you know? Like, and the rationale is, but but, you know, it's always like that, right? Yeah, but. And my but with the age bias is that men who are my age are much older than me in their bodies, in their minds, in their fluidity, in their sex drive, in the this and that and the other thing. And it goes on and on and on and on, you know, how men who are my age are older than me and therefore disqualified from my field. Okay. I do it all the time. And then I have the nerve to be heartbroken or even sad or even affected when somebody dumps me, because you know what? I think she is a little old, you know, and now I want a woman who can bear me some children. Wow. Like that's nerve. You know what I mean? It's such a nerve to have incorrect view. It's such a, what's the word? Like, how do you even describe? It's so outrageous, right? Like, how dare I, even in a normal conventional world, okay? Never mind karma and emptiness, okay? How does it work that I dismiss a whole population of men over like 58-ish, completely dismiss them? And then I have the, you know, I have the nerve to get upset when this happens to me. Even in a normal conventional world, you'd think that that connection would somehow be significant, right? So that's my example for you of age bias. Okay. And the other thing with age bias is that very often we have the ability to provide for or to be kind to or whatever, you know, outside of relationship situations to certain age groups, but not to other age groups. I don't know. You may have this, you know, like sometimes people can't like deal with small children, or sometimes people can't deal with extremely old people, or you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's also age bias, right? You somehow you don't see them as your equals, you know, they're not quite human beings, you know, children or older people, right? So that's the first one, age bias. Then the second one is gender bias. And, you know, I was born and raised in Asia, and I have a very high awareness of that gender bias. So gender bias, for example, in Japan, it's very patriarchal, as it is in India and China and most of Asia right now. And, you know, it's changing nowadays, but women have a certain role, you know, in society, and men have a certain role, and the two shall never meet kind of thing. And women are a little, you know, they're subservient in a sort of an oppressed kind of a way, a little bit, sometimes much more not quite so subtle as in India and China, where they kill female infants, gender bias. And so it used to be like that with the Dharma. I don't know if you know, and even with yoga, right? Yoga used to be taught to and practiced only by men, to men and by men and for men, and that's why it's such a Shiva-centric practice, like in its traditional form, which is, dozens of asanas all relating only to sitting, like just holding Shakti energy, just sitting. How can I sit comfortably? You know that was the original purpose of asanas. What can I do so that I can just sit comfortably and contain my heat energy, right? Different from Tantra, raise more heat energy, and do something with that heat energy, as opposed to just sit and repress the heat energy. Just sit quietly, contain it, repress it, shove it down, right? As opposed to So, because that was for women, you see, that chaos and fire and everything, that's not yogic, So that's a gender bias. Wow, who knew? The whole system of yoga is like extremely gender biased, But fortunately, the whole system of Tantra is extremely Shakti biased, Shakti centric. So there's that gender bias. Then the next one is sexual bias that he mentioned, sexual bias. So, so again, just using yoga as an example, and the teachers were all male, and as there came to be females, let's talk about today's world, and this world where male yoga or male Tantra teachers are just paying, it's very natural, but they're paying more attention. They're biased towards the female students, especially the attractive ones. This is quite dangerous, just to have a bias, a sexual bias, just because you're having a sexual bias, right? So for example, my Lama, Geshe Michael, and also Swami Satyananda, both of them, it's no accident that both of them were very intent on training female lamas and female swamis, Did you know? Even Swami Satyananda was really big on that. Like he really wanted to cultivate, to teach women how to transmit the yoga teachings. And for sure, Geshe Michael, that's really the reason that he took Lama Christie as a consort and did the whole thing, is to have her, empower her to take that seat of the female Lama in a very powerful way, so that she would inspire the women in our Tantra class, to also be able to do that by her example. So he was very big on annihilating that kind of sexual bias, understanding that Shakti is nothing without Shiva, and Shiva is, what's Shiva without Shakti, you got to have something to contain, right? If you're consciousness, you have to be conscious of something. Otherwise, what? So he was big on that. And then the next one is financial bias. That's where the teacher is fawning over the students who have the money, right? Oh yeah, a potential sponsor for me, right? Or let me make sure that this or that, right? It's like so common, And, I tell you, I honestly think of Geshe Michael this way. I do. This is like one of the disparaging thoughts I have about my guru, is I think he just gravitates towards the people with the most money and doesn't have time for the people who don't have any money. And I have that thought, and I actually believe it to be true. And I also have a transmutation practice that I do with that thought as to why that might be the highest thing that could be happening in this world, And it's a very successful transmutation practice that I do with that disparagement prana of thinking that Geshe Michael is going for the big bucks. There's no doubt about it. That's what he's doing, And, he has some major big bucks going on, and people who used to be what he called Dharma bums, There were a lot of Dharma bums in my day at Diamond Mountain. All of them are prospering. Why? Because he went after the big bucks and set up all these organizations and foundations and systems of teaching the Dharma. And he put all the Dharma bums in charge of all of those organizations and institutions. And now they're flourishing, and they themselves are like super rich. I don't know if you knew. There were very few of us who were not Dharma bums, actually. There were a handful of super wealthy people, and then everybody else was a Dharma bum. And now there are no Dharma bums around Geshe Michael anymore, so far as I can see. Yeah. So anyway, financial bias is where you do that. You fawn over students who have money, who give you the most money, not for a reason like Geshe Michael is doing it, okay? Just because you want more money, right? So he talks about Ken Rinpoche and how extremely wealthy people would come to their temple in New Jersey, and Ken Rinpoche would completely ignore them, just like anyone else, And Geshe Michael would go and whisper in his ear, "Oh no, Lama, that woman is really wealthy. You got to offer her tea and go and talk to her and make some small talk." And Ken Rinpoche would like slap Geshe Michael upside the head, and say, "Get out of here. You go make tea and talk to her, I'm doing what I'm watching baseball or whatever." Like he didn't do it. He did not. He wouldn't buy into that, right? And then the next one is racial bias. I don't know. Racial bias is so insidious, right? We feel like we do not have racial bias. At least I feel like I don't. But I do often observe myself having very subtle racial bias, Like I'll have a thought like, those people don't know how to make generous offerings. Or those people don't know how to cherish a woman. Do you know what I mean? And it sounds like quite inane, it sounds kind of like inane and like just a regular old run-of-the-mill, ignorant, wrong view thing to say, kind of innocent, but it's not. That is racial bias, actually. It's racial bias, It's very deep racial bias where I'm just having this bias about an entire group of people. They don't know how to honor women, or they don't get generosity, like it's really insidious. Okay, so there's that. Then there's functional bias. Oh my God, this is tricky. So functional bias. Geshe Michael uses himself as an example for this, and I find it really the most hilarious thing. It's, what can this person do for me? For the Dharma, right? What can this person do for me in serving the Dharma? And he didn't care if Ken Rinpoche didn't care if you could perform a useful function for him or not. But Geshe Michael is always saying, like he actually does. He claims to have this bias, and when I look at him, I agree. He has a functional bias. Everybody that's around him is very high functioning, extremely high functioning, and they're functioning at a very high level for him all the time, and sometimes they burn out and crash and disappear forever into the ether, as you probably all know, So functional bias is also very tricky, right? It's very tricky. And so he tells a story of how Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's Geshe Michael's story, so I won't repeat it here, but it's easy to understand functional bias in that way, in the context of the teacher and their students, right? It's very easy to understand it. Then we have emotional bias. Wow, this is tricky too. Former infatuation junkie. It's the name of an album by Alanis Morissette. I don't know if you guys know who that is. Former infatuation junkie. It's kind of like another way of saying, what's that thing that they have like a 12-step group for? Codependence Anonymous, where people want to teach because the students adore them. Yeah, it's this intoxication with being adored. It's an intoxication with it's an infatuation with the students who adore you. And it's not only that, but it goes further than that to where you set up a codependent situation or some kind of emotional blackmail situation where you're always emotionally hooking in to students or hooking into students or hooking students. And that would look like being everything that you think they want you to be instead of who you're supposed to be as the teacher, right? Like you can't do the 4 modes of a Lama, right? You can't do the powerful, you can't do the wrathful, you can't do the generous, and you can't do those 4 modes of the Lama because you're too hooked into the students adoring you. So that's very, very common, again, in Dharma circles. So one time, again, he tells another story, but I don't feel like I can tell it. It's a very powerful story, but it has to do with a student, one of Ken Rinpoche's students, sort of having a psychotic episode and harming him, trying to harm him. Yeah. And Ken Rinpoche insisted that Geshe Michael go directly to the person who was trying to do the harm and take them and restrain them and bring this person to Ken Rinpoche so that Ken Rinpoche could just like hold her, this person who tried to do him very, very great harm, And they took care of her. They took care of her in that dangerous situation, where she had this emotional outburst and tried to harm Ken Rinpoche. Okay. So you just sit for a minute quietly and feel into your prana body from hearing about those different kinds of biases and what they arise in you, what they arouse in you. Okay. So today we're talking about we talked about bodhicitta, and now we have the 6 perfections, vows and 6 perfections. So the reading for this class covers the first 2 perfections, giving and leading an ethical life internally first and foremost, right? But you can begin to cultivate and refine your sensitivity to your inner ethical life by observing all of the different vows and yama niyamas of an outer ethical life. So usually with the 6 perfections, the first 4 are covered as a group, and then the last 2 are covered separately, because the last 2, which are karma and emptiness, basically, stillness and wisdom, you need the karma and emptiness to be able to perfect the first 4, right? Actually, you cannot actually engage in all the actions of giving, leading an ethically pure life, patience, and enjoying, doing really taking great joy in doing things for other people and doing things for Dharma and so on, joyful effort. You can't do those first 4 things without a very, very, very good understanding of karma and emptiness. So that's the reason that they separate them out like that. And because you can never, as I said, you can never perfect the first 4 without the first 2, but the conundrum is that you can never get to the last 2 without practicing the first 4. Okay, so it's a circuit, right? It's like this. It's a spiral, is how Geshe Michael most frequently describes it. It's an upward spiral. So the 6 perfections are bodhisattva actions for ripening the highest, most extraordinary karmas in our own minds, but actually there are 10 perfections. And the last 4 are the perfections for how to gather disciples, how to care for them. And these are perfections that you would use when you have a group of disciples, and you have to do another 4 perfections in order to perfect your own ability to ripen the minds of others. And these are things, like I was just saying, like the 4 modes of a lama and different things like that, right? You wouldn't be able to have any kind of biases like the biases we just talked about, That's how you are able to ripen the minds of others, and to not have gender biases, and all that comes through the first 6 perfections, which are designed to ripen the karma in our own mind. Okay, so we'll talk today about giving and ethical life. So His Holiness First Panchen Lama only mentions 3 kinds of giving. That there are 4, right? We know of 4 in scripture at least. He mentions 3, and then I'll tell you the 4 and why it is that he may not specifically mention it. So the first kind of giving is giving Dharma, right? Giving Dharma, that means giving any kind of spiritual sustenance. Spiritual sustenance. I read a beautiful piece by Carolyn Elliott through the week. I actually sent it to Eva. It was about mantra practice. And she talks about how it's really, really good to eat angels, that you should eat, E-A-T, eat angels. And then she always says super provocative things, right? Like she makes this outrageous statement like, I love eating angels. And you're like, what? Wow, what could she possibly be talking about now, right? She always has those kinds of subject lines in her emails. And so what she's talking about is her mantra practice, and the fact that when you do a mantra practice, you're repeating, it's like kirtan, right? You're repeating the names of the divine over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Many different divine beings, or just one, or whatever it is, but constantly. And when you do that, you invoke them, you call them to you. That's what it is to do a mantra practice. So you're invoking the divine, and the divine comes, right? So the divine comes, they show up, and then they nourish you by their presence. And so that's what she's talking about. When they're nourishing you, you imagine you're eating them, right? Because they're nourishing you, and they're nourishing you, body, speech, and mind, So mantra practice nourishes us. And so that's what she says, eat angels, okay? So anything like that, giving Dharma, Like that's called giving Dharma. You know, Carolyn Elliott is a master at giving Dharma to, I don't know, she has like tens of thousands of people on her email list, you know? And when she just writes a little short email like that, everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. People who've never heard of, she never even uses the word mantra. I'm using the word mantra. She doesn't. Right, Eva? Yeah. Or maybe once, but I don't think even once. But she has this amazing skill. Skillful means upaya. She has this amazing gift for upaya, for giving the Dharma. Spectacular gift. Wouldn't you agree? Those of you who know who I'm talking about, she's really amazing in that way. Yeah. You want to say something, Eva?
Yeah, I agree fully. She has this exquisite way of sharing her experience, and it's edgy and kind of it hooks your attention right away, and it's really beautiful. But I just wanted to say, she doesn't say mantra. She doesn't even say, like, maybe she says reciting, but she says when one vibrates the names of the angels, or when one's chanting the names of the angels.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. She's so skillful, you know. She's so skillful. She's skillful in her provocativeness. She's skillful in her edginess. And when she's delivering, when she's giving the Dharma, she's doing it freely in these emails to tens of thousands of people. She's not expecting anything. Of course, she gives you information about whatever she's teaching, her courses, you know, but I mean, she's just giving Dharma every time she sits down at her computer. And this is the most important of the 4 kinds of giving. It's the most important of the 4 kinds of giving, to give spiritual hope. It's the most important form of giving. Okay. The second kind of giving is giving protection from fear. Giving protection from fear. So traditionally, that means giving protection from other people, you know, like neighboring warring tribes, or from non-humans like bad spirits or dangerous animals or diseases that are caused by bad spirits and things like that, you know. So giving protection from fear, giving protection from any kind of oppression, you know, like, for example, another friend and I were talking about the war in Ukraine, and how is it possible that our world, you know, the rest of our world, how is it that we can stand by and watch this war, literally watch this war on the news, and then like turn it off, you know? How is it possible, you know, that we're not somehow offering protection from fear, you know? I find it almost unbelievable. And that helplessness that I feel, you know, the despair and the helplessness that I feel, that is a result of not offering protection from fear. I mean, I feel terrified and helpless and like my hands are tied. And what am I supposed to do? What can I do? That's the very karmic result of not offering protection from fear to other people. The third way of giving is giving stuff, giving money, giving food, place to stay. And this is the lowest. This is the lowest form of giving, okay? Everyone always thinks, oh yeah, let's start a fund for the Ukraine, right? Of course, this is wonderful and useful. But, you know, certainly even in that case, it's much more useful to, for example, teach the people how to farm. You know what I mean? Like Jesus taught people how to fish instead of just giving them the fish, you know, giving stuff. And if it is stuff that you're giving, it's giving it without any kind of intention or motivation or hope of getting something back. Only a consciousness that this is the most right thing to do, without any stinginess or resistance, right? And then the fourth one that His Holiness Panchen Lama does not mention is giving love. But look, think about it, okay? Giving the Dharma, right? Giving hope, spiritual hope, giving protection from fear, giving your stuff, all of that, love is prerequisite. It would be prerequisite that you had love. And we're talking about the immeasurable form of love, giving immeasurable love, the intention that countless beings should get what their hearts desire. That's what we're talking about, Okay. So then the second perfection, the perfection of doing good things, Geshe Michael calls it. I love it. He's very simple in his language. The perfection of morality, the perfection of leading an ethical life. And, the first form, the first level of those kinds of vows is like yama niyama, right? It's called pratimoksha, or freedom vows. So the freedom vows in Tibetan translates as individual matters liberation vows. Individual matters liberation vows. So liberation vows pertaining to your individual matters, to you, right? Kind of like the 10 Commandments. So that's the first form of vows, vows relating to you, to your individual matters. The second level of vows, bodhisattva vows. This is the level of vows relating to others, trying to care for others. And the interesting thing about the bodhisattva vows, if you again go back and read them carefully and reflect on them, like what we're doing now, is you realize that all of them are for you. They're all for you. Especially the root downfalls. Yeah. The first few levels of the bodhisattva vows are maybe a little bit towards others, your conduct towards others. But if you read the root downfalls carefully, you realize that those are for, then we have, and the bodhisattva vows change, for example, those vows change the actions of the ordained very significantly, right? Because the ordained, it's all about not having anything, I have nothing. Like I just have a begging bowl, right? But the bodhisattva monk or nun gathers everything in case somebody might need it. So they have, they could have enormous houses in Sedona, just filled to the brim with everything you can imagine that the heart could possibly desire, right? Bodhisattva vows. The third, of course, is the tantric vows. And that, again, changes at a very, very, very deep level, shifts the level, the vibrational level of the person who is keeping those tantric vows. So the tantric vows are designed to shift your energy at a very fundamental level. I'll give you a hint, okay? All of the different tantric practices that I've ever taught you in the whatever decades I've been teaching, whoever's been around, all of it is always tinged and influenced by Tantra, because I didn't start teaching till I already had tantric vows. And so what it is that everything I've ever said to you or suggested you do, so the hint is that I'm suggesting you do it because it might be a vow. It might be a tantric vow. And once we have tantric vows, we keep all the 2 lower levels of vows much more strictly, because otherwise there isn't sufficient containment of the Shakti force that's really unleashed. And Geshe Michael gives us an example here, Tibetan monasteries, as opposed to like Hinayana monasteries like Thailand, you know, or like in many parts of India. Tibetan monasteries are like a major party all the time. And they're always smiling and giggling and laughing and look like they have some kind of secret in their eyes, right? And then generally, sometimes they also seem to misbehave really badly in the world. The Tibetan lamas, you know, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, for example, and others, many others. And there seems to be like this whole different thing going on with Tibetan lamas, you know, from any other kind of, yeah, I mean, there's lots of tantric swamis in the Hindu tantra lineage who are also doing similar things and having a major party energy. But Tibetan Buddhism is unique in that Tibetan Buddhism is Tantra. There's no such thing as non-tantric Tibetan Buddhism. And any kind of Tibetan Buddhism which is non-tantric is merely the foundation for the tantric teachings, because that's what Tibetan Buddhism is. And Geshe Michael says it's one big party. Hint, it could be a vow. Okay, well, then His Holiness Panchen Lama, let me see, just a second. Okay, so then His Holiness Panchen Lama seems to be quoting Macbeth. I don't know if any of you have seen or read Macbeth, but Macbeth says, life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. His Holiness Panchen Lama says the circle of life is the random dance of a madman. Samsara is the random dance of a madman. And what in particular makes it this way for him is that, did anybody ever see, it was a Chinese movie, but it's really common theme in Asian movies where it starts out that there's a man, you know, and he really wants to have a wife, you know, and so he prays and prays and prays and prays for a wife. And then he gets a wife, and then she has many children, you know, and then then he needs to start a farm so that he can feed all these many children and the wife and everyone, you know. And then he becomes so exhausted from the wife and the children and the farm that he doesn't want the wife and he doesn't want the children and he doesn't want the farm, and then he wants to like go into retreat for a while, you know. And then you know what I mean, like one man's poison is another man's nectar, kind of an idea. And I'm thinking of a Chinese movie where first, you know, the guy thinks that the greatest fortune that could possibly befall him is whatever, like a wife, you know, and then it completely flips, you know, and then he's just like kills the wife or tries to get rid of her or something like this. And then the greatest fortune that could ever befall him is being a farmer or whatever. Has anyone ever seen movies like that, where it constantly changes? Fame turns into fortune, turns into fame, turns into fortune. Now, do you know what I mean? What I'm talking about? No. Okay. Anyway, if I can find out the name of such a movie, I'll post it for you. I'll let you know what it is. But that's a very common thing. And that's what His Holiness First Panchen Lama is talking about when he's talking about this, this constant shifting of the way that we see things, right? And of course, that's what it is. It's the fact that the karma is so inconsistent. That's the reason that we can't think of our partner as the love of our lives for eternity, And it's the reason that we can't be happy with the job we have, or blah, 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 the partner, the whatever. It's all because of this inconsistent karma, right? That we have. And so if we could have an understanding of the fact that it's an inconsistent karma, then we might do something very different in order to shift our experience of our situation, our experience of our situation, right? Rather than dancing the random dance of a madman, dump the wife, get a new one, move to someplace else, dump the job, can now this and that, you know what I mean? The random dance of a madman, right? The fact that our enemy in our last life is family in the current life, and this life's enemy is next life's friend, that's what he's talking about. Okay, so just going to wrap up for you here. Make sure that we cover off all the homework. Let's see. So he has a couple of verses of poetry. The first Panchen Lama is a poet, and he has a couple of verses of poetry in the reading. There are 2 verses beginning with the entrance into the womb, beginning with when we enter into the womb, where he's describing this circle of life, the random dance of the madman, okay? So just know that you need to pick out these 2 verses which have to do with the random dance of a madman for your homework. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the start of the class and make sure that I covered everything for you. Okay. Okay, so what are, in fact, the 2 things that we request from our Lama at the beginning of the meditation session on the activities of a Bodhisattva? So we ask for the ability, we talked about it already last time, I think. We ask for the ability to train ourselves properly in the powerful deeds of Bodhisattvas, both those that relate to the emptiness side of the teachings and those which relate to the compassion side of the teachings. Those are the 2 things that we request from our Lama at the beginning of the meditation session on the activities of a Bodhisattva. And so what are the works of a Bodhisattva, which include ripening our own minds and ripening the minds of others? We talked about that, right? So there are 6 perfections for ripening our own minds, and then another 4 for using perfections that we ripen when we gather disciples, when we begin to have our own disciples. And we talked about the kinds of giving. I think you know that one. And we talked about the 3 different forms of vows and what they look like and what they feel like. And then His Holiness First Panchen Lama, in the opening lines of his poetry in this reading, he talks about his own Lama as the one who possesses all 3. The one who possesses all 3. And the reading, one way that we read it is the Lama who possesses the 3 types of kindness. What are these 3 types of kindness? So the first, in the system of the open teachings, our Lama grants us the kindness of personal advice. Our Lama grants us the kindness of personal advice. And then the second kindness is the Lama grants oral transmissions and formal teachings. And then in the system of the secret teachings, the tantric teachings, the Lama grants empowerments, initiations into tantric practice, explanations of the tantras, the secret books, and private instruction on those two subjects. Those are the three kinds of kindness that the gurus are providing to us. Okay, so now he wants to talk about the 14th secondary offense against the bodhisattvas when we think to ourselves or we say, bodhisattvas don't want to reach nirvana. In fact, they work for the opposite. You know, everyone seems to have this weird misperception, misunderstanding, right? Bodhisattvas are beings who do not reach nirvana. They do not reach enlightenment. They're somehow waiting for everyone else, right? It's like what I said earlier. You know, that's like, I'm not going to put on the oxygen mask. I'm just going to wait. Like, it doesn't make any kind of sense, okay? It doesn't make any kind of sense, and it's not true, and it's a misunderstanding, and it's erroneous, and it's wrong. Bodhisattvas put on the oxygen mask first so that they are in some position to be of service to the person next to them. And to not put on the mask first, to not put on the mask is a grave, grave, grave wrongdoing, right? To not do what you need to do so that you have the capacity to serve is a grave, grave wrongdoing. So, you know, actually, right, there are three kinds of bodhisattvas, three kinds of bodhicitta, I should say. So they refer to the idea of, first of all, the bodhisattva like a ferryman, right? And the ferryman crosses to ultimate goals along with other beings, okay? So look, I'll take you in my ferry. We're going to go across the river together, okay? To nirvana on the other side. And then those that are like a shepherd driving others to ultimate goals before they go themselves. And then finally, bodhicitta like a king, attaining all ultimate goals before others so that they may be an example and that they're in a capacity and a ability to hold their kingdom and take their kingdom to divine ecstasy. So, but these three refer only to the three states of mind, okay? The willingness to act in all these ways. Whereas actually, we would never delay our enlightenment for others because that's the only way, the only and the fastest way to serve, okay? So it's always about getting that mask on yourself first. Then the 15th secondary offense against the vows of the Bodhisattva is failing to put a stop to rumors about yourself. Failing to put a stop to rumors about yourself. Very, very, very simply, why is it that you might hear that there are some bad rumors going around about you? Like if you hear somebody bad mouthing you, or you hear from somebody that so and such is bad mouthing you, right? Why do you think that is, that that's happening? Anybody? Let's open it up now to this question and to any other questions that you might have. Like, why would that happen that you would? Yeah, Deborah?
Deceit of others, somewhat jealousy.
Deceit?
Yeah, jealousy of
Yeah,
others.
it definitely could be jealousy, because if you were jealous, right, you might badmouth people, or you might start a rumor about them. Oh, they got this thing that I want, but really you know what they did, right? So it's the rumor part of the jealousy, which plants the seed for you to experience people ruining your reputation. So it's about ruining your rep, So certainly it could be your own jealousy that causes you to gossip or speak badly of others, but it would be that specific thing, right? And so, you know, should you write them a long letter, or should you engage them in a conversation about how, you know, they're spreading these nasty rumors about you? I think you should. I do. I think you should. But that would be secondary.
You speak
That
to
would
their
definitely-
karma and to say it's the responsibility to protect them from their own karma.
No, it sets up a new karma for me too.
Yes, yes.
Sets up a new karma for me to permit that to go on. You know, to permit that to go on, for any kind of untruth to be continuing in the world. Yeah, that sets up a bad karma for me against myself, Yeah. I'm not very respectful of myself, am I? If I'm allowing, you know, wrong rumors, untrue things to be spreading about myself, right? So the first thing is why it's happening, and to address the root cause, and to make sure that I've addressed the root cause. And you also have to address the effects of the root cause in your world, which is to say, how can I, in a conventional sense, you know, how can I stop these rumors about me?
So a quick question as to put it into real life terms. So I have a dear friend who that I met through salsa, who's been cheating on her husband for 3 years, the last 3 years that I've been in salsa.
Mhm.
And then as a bodhisattva, I'm friends with a person that's creating this severely bad deed of infidelity. And I speak to her about it. Like I say, you know, like the harm that you're creating for yourself in carrying out, and that he is creating in his self, and the harm that's being created against another, the wife unknowingly. But for somebody to see that I'm friends with somebody that is outright, you know, is, everybody knows that she's cheating on her husband, and I'm yet this person that's in a position that teaches goodness.
And you're kind to her,
Yeah,
or her
that,
friend.
yeah. So it's like, so that potentially could harm my reputation. It's like, oh yeah, she's this person, but yet she's friends with this person. So that would be, by that sheer friendship, am I hurting my reputation?
That happens to me all the time. I can seriously resonate, not in your example, but like as a teacher of the Dharma, and especially, excuse me, especially as a teacher of Tantra, you know, I'm always doing and saying edgy things, and no doubt ruining my reputation all the time. And what do I do about it? Well, I mean, the first thing is that, do you really know? I mean, the first thing is judgment, you know, the first thing is the judgment of the situation, right? Like, why are these people spreading these rumors about me, if they, in fact, they are? Because I'm engaging with a woman who's cheating on her husband, or whatever it is I'm doing. So if you, and you have a consciousness that people are now gossiping about you, as well as the woman who's doing the cheating. And then it's like, oh, you know, maybe they think I'm condoning her cheating, you know. And there's so many, as last Saturday, the reflection that you offered last Saturday was similar, in that there are so many different karmas going on, you see. So we're talking about the gossip portion of it. So let's assume for a moment that someone is gossiping about you because you're associating with this woman. Okay, let's just narrow it down to that. Because the karma to experience your friend is doing something wrong, that's one karma. The karma to experience yourself as being gossiped about, that's another karma. You know what I mean? Like there's so many karmas, different spheres.
Or to be
Different
painted
subject.
with the same paintbrush.
No,
No?
no. Different karmic seeds. In some, you're the subject, in others, you're the object. You're the object of the gossip. You know what I mean? So you're talking about so many different 3 spheres of subject, object, and interaction. So I just want to narrow it down to the one where you are experiencing yourself as being gossiped about, because that's what we're talking about right now. So that's all, okay? Never mind, is she a good person? Is she a bad person? Whatever, maybe she's a bodhisattva tantrika. You don't know, okay? We don't ever know. So maybe she's saving the marriage of your friend, whatever. But the point is that if you experience yourself as being gossiped about, that's one karma. If you experience yourself as being gossiped about in that specific situation, and the predominant flavor for you is, oh, now I'm being thought of as an accomplice. Oh, now I'm being thought of as condoning cheating, Do you know what I'm saying? You have to really become specific when we're talking about these interactions of causes and effects, okay? Because it's 64 per second, right? Yeah. Anyone else have any reflections or contemplations or questions or observations or ideas or anything at all?
I've just I've been thinking a lot about like the need to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for me it's like feeling to put a stop to rumors. So like specifically things that are not true.
Yeah.
About you.
Yeah.
And you have to put and that is for reputation's sake as well, for sure. Yeah. But if something were to be true and that's what you had to do and it was edgy and your reputation was bruised because of it or something, like I feel like like the need to be liked and the drive to be liked in your circle or in society or whatever, like it gets more and more put on the line, I think, as you practice, I guess. I don't know, just an observation.
Yeah, thank you, because that's really good. It's a really beautiful observation at this particular point here today, because it gives a whole different flavor, So it's the flavor of, I don't like to be disliked, which is common to all of us. But that's a specific seed. It's a different seed from I'm going to be thought of as which is all actually a flavor of I'm going to be disliked, but I'm going to be thought of as an accomplice to the adulteress, But that's also, people won't like me because they'll think I'm an accomplice to the adulteress, or I'm also an adulteress, or whatever. So you know what I mean? Be specific with your own internal prana experience. It's quite important to be able to fix on that so that you can work that karmic angle as well as conventionally, going to addressing a specific person in your social circle who's bad mouthing you, Deborah, now, and you say, I am her friend. I'm her friend. Friends stick by one, or whatever you want to say, whatever, right? Whatever you feel it's important.
I'm more apt to leave the friendship.
Oh, that's another karma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because there's just too much harm being created.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the things that we do and don't do because others are gossiping about us or thinking ill of us or whatever's going on. So yeah, be very, very careful before you take action, I would say, right? It's so important to understand what's really going on karmically, and then to take action, which is wise and really is the highest thing for the most people. That really is the highest thing for the most people. you know. And, you know, for that, you need stillness and wisdom, right? You know what I mean? It's very, very difficult to make
Becomes very lonely.
Huh?
You just get stillness and wisdom because it becomes very lonely. And so your connection, my connection, and my rejoice is with source.
Yeah, it becomes really important to focus in on the actual insult that you're experiencing in your system. Like, what is the insult that you're experiencing in your own system? And that's the clue to the karmic link, to the karmic cause of your pain. And you need to shift something in the outer world in an external way also. Maybe, not necessarily, but maybe. All right. Anyone else? Lada wants to pray. Okay, well, let's pray with Lada. So, yeah, I wanted, as just as a like a little takeaway, I would like to offer you once again this incredible experience I had of the theater workshop when I was in Costa Rica at Pachamama. And it was so mind-blowing for me to put into practice this thing that, you know who it was? Hillary's husband, Fred, said this to me. Hillary's husband, Fred, lots of you know him. He was taking acting classes in Vancouver. And one day he said to me, yeah, acting is really cool, because what it is that you're always trying to talk yourself into something, not the audience. That blew my mind. Then I got into the theater workshop at Pachamama, and we started doing all these theater exercises, right? Like I think I've told you, standing in a long room with the audience is seated like this across the front of the room, and you're at the back, and you start at one end, and you have to say something to make them laugh. And if they laugh, you can take one sideways step. But you can't take a side, and you have to make it to the other side of the room, but you can't take a step unless you make them laugh. And you have to wear a red clown's nose as you're doing it, which you strap onto your head. It was the most profound thing I've ever done in my life. It was really excruciating. It was, I didn't know what, I was just like completely freaked out, you know, because, and I'm thinking, you know, I only need to talk myself into it. That's all. And I made it across the room, you know, but it's really hard, you know? So you only need to talk yourself into it, okay? If you're in a sangha and you're in a tight sangha, then you're in a container of pure love. You don't need to talk anybody into anything, but you do need to talk yourself into it. That's for sure.
That's a wise comment for business marketing. I am struggling with creating business marketing because I can't promise anyone anything.
It's true.
You know, and you can talk to a coach, a business coach, and they say, well, you need to speak to the transformation. I said, but I don't have control over the transformation. I can create a space, I can create the environment, I can give content, but ultimately that's up to them.
Exactly.
And everybody in these marketing worlds are speaking to a false
all you can do is ask
ideal.
Questions.
Yeah. So it's
only ask questions.
I have to convince myself first.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the marketing.
Exactly. Yeah, in every instance, I think it's true that there's only me that I need to talk into anything, you know. So that's a powerful thing, right? A powerful thing to offer into our world. And let's do that. So let's offer this ability to talk ourselves into our own divinity and make an offering of that. Thank you for coming now. It's beautiful to see you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carrie Ann. See you hopefully next time. So next Saturday, oh yeah, good thing I thought of it. You know that for the next 2 Saturdays, I'm in a course. And this particular course does not have Zoom replay. They don't record it because it's sort of further to the tantric teachings I was getting in Nicaragua. So either you go or you don't, you go or you don't go. And it starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. It ends at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'd like to offer the Daylam portion of the class for sure. So I'm going to send out a few ideas as to when that might work. And my first thought is Sunday evening. Is there anybody here who has a problem with Sunday evening? January 19th. Okay. So I'll just check it out a little bit and let you all know. Okay. So Daylam course 3, class 4, possibly next Sunday evening. Yeah, Eva?
I'd like to offer on Saturday mornings, that because you're not going to be able to teach on Saturday mornings, I'd like to do like hash out debates of the Daylam 3 that we've done so far.
You want me to require it?
Yeah. It's so like,
I hereby require you to show up for Eva's rehash on Saturday morning for the next 2 Saturdays at 6 a.m. Eva?
6 a.m. And
6
so,
a.m., please.
and I'll do some asana. We'll do like an hour of asana. And
It will be easier for all of us if you do a rehash with Eva and a little debating with Carrie Ann and Lada, yes?
Yeah, it was so juicy and unreal when we did do it. Those who did decide to show up, it was so good.
Okay.
By TJ.
So if you are taking initiation, then please show up for Eva, 6 o'clock Saturday morning.
And then Sunday evening, you said Sunday evening, I can send an invite out for that.
Okay, but wait, don't do it quite yet.
I won't do it yet. Sure. And then July 9th, we're still doing the live sadhana.
Yes, we are.
Which is in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Can I just get a recap? So Sunday night, June 19th, what time?
You'll hear from me, but tentatively 4 o'clock.
Yeah, but I have a family, so I need to make sure that I have.
Yeah, let me say 4 o'clock then.
Okay. Yeah. And then Saturday, the asanas at 6 and the debates at 7.
I would have to figure that out, refine it a little more. Like,
yeah, you can send that notice out because everybody is already primed for Saturday mornings at 6 o'clock. So you just fine tune.
Yeah, I'll start at 6 and there'll be asana for like an hour and a half, and then we'd start hash out. Yeah. Until
my body, my hips, my shoulders, everything's sore. So I'm going to offer myself a reprieve at some point, but I can always just lay there. Already.